lineup that I am very excited to watch.
We still is left with one final pick from RSGPH. We've got Julian Jungle, Terizla EXP, Roger Gold, and Zask in mid. And this is where we will want to ask the Battle of the PH Roma, what exactly are they going to be picking out for light? With Akai, Chip, all gone, what's the next potential pick?
They can just go back to basic. Minotaur isn't too bad as well.
They could go Cho or Kaja.
Yeah, Cho isn't too bad, not bad as well.
Yeah.
But no, okay, they go for the Grok. Alright, I can respect that. Like, Grok is great for just soaking up the burst coming from Helker.
Yeah, I think Grok also plays a very important role because we know that Baxia is a very active hero in the first couple of minutes, so you need to have a roamer that can actually match that vision and mobility and maybe even disrupt them a little bit in the jungle, of which the best choice is going to be Grok.
So with that all said and done, we've got both teams that have finished the drafting stage. Geek Fam, understandably, with the Beloyski special. Definitely going to spice things up quite a bit. While RSGPH, back to the basics, they have got basically whatever that they need from every single lane. They've nothing too out of the ordinary per se. Probably just the Zask special that we very much has been seeing throughout the entirety of today. And SPS, we are seeing so much Zask. I'm pretty much expecting that Zask is going to be skyrocketing when it comes down to the pick ban rate. But I'm gonna excuse myself now, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going to be passing the time over to ICBaby as well as Sadafa as we head over to the Land of Dawn for match number 3.
Well, thank you so much, Abstract, here, because we're going to be jumping straight into game. This is going to be Geek Fam versus RSGPH game number 1 here, and this is going to be an exciting one here, Safa.
And we have to know that there are going to be some stakes here. Remember, this is the group stage. Every victory is important. Every point gained is valuable. RSG, they already won 2-0 against Bigatron earlier today, so they're sitting quite comfortably. But Geek Fam ended up dropping their game against Homeboys. And speaking of...
Yeah, seems like, speaking of harassments here, they have a lot of things that they have to bring to the table. Like, all cards on the table, they bring in the pocket strategy from Beloyski, and hopefully he is going to be able to dictate the tempo here, because RSGPH, they're going all out. Guess what? They're looking at Beloyski, they force a little bit of reactions coming in. He's taking some damage, but seems like they're just not letting him do his own thing right now. So RSGPH are doing okay.
I just realized that Beloyski actually is going execute as well. So he is very much going into this game with the aim of picking people off, which could be difficult. There's quite a number of heroes on the RSGPH side that won't easily go down.
I don't know if he's going to go for Sky Piercer or not, but if he does so rather early, RSGPH is going to have a very, very difficult time here, especially for Aqua. If he's not inside his demonic dominance descent in particular, he is going to be in a little bit of trouble here, because once Beloyski gets in, he is going to silence somebody and kill someone. But in this case, Beloyski, he is going to fall. He got caught up all by himself. No backup whatsoever, and RSGPH gets a very, very nice kill. First blood by them, and immediately they're gobbling up on Gobs as well. He doesn't have his force, so no final slash to kind of extend those fights. And now with the Aurora out coming in, RSGPH, they're looking for the steal. They don't get it. Geek Fam, they take the turtle and they will back out instead, unless they want to force it. They just got the 4, but nope. Looks like they are going to try and harass the purple buff here. Vincent, he needs back up. Here it comes. Penalty zone comes in. Vincent getting completely shredded by Iran. Dark Knight Falls comes in, but RSGPH is still trying to steal the purple buff away. They finally take it away, but at the expense of losing Nibor. But Iran, again, a double kill for him for RSGPH.
And this is the risk, right, of playing those assassin roamers. Yes, you can be annoying, but you really gotta play it well, because you just don't have the health pool to be able to match up against heroes like that Grok. And because of that, we see Beloyski getting picked off twice in basically the same fight because of how long that extended. Geek Fam may have secured the turtle, but giving up 3 kills already is not a good sign, especially since Irad was able to get quite a lot of EXP from that to immediately surpass Vincent in farm speed.
You know, well done to RSGPH, man. Like, they utilize that 7-second time frame so well. Whenever Iran has a spell, they commit to the fight, and Geek Fam wasn't able to break that tempo because of that. But nevertheless here, even though they've got 2 kills here, the economy is not that far off between both this team here. So I was expecting more of a huge swing for RGPH unless Loisky, he's gonna try to do a little bit of harassment for Irad, but Irad says, I don't care. I'm just gonna shake it off and I'm gonna move away. But now, here comes a commitment. Nice side step coming in from Irad with the enhanced swords here. He's gonna be able to get out, and Geek Fam will be left with nothing once more.
My primary concern in this game for Geek Fam is that while yes, they do have a pretty solid late game scaling with the Moskov, RSG just has a lot more DPS potential overall once they have items under their belt. And that means that if Geek Fam are not able to make things happen with this Baxia Hellcat combo early on, they'll end up losing a lot in terms of scaling as the game progresses.
Yeah, speaking of scaling as well, Beloyski used his first stingers. He's gonna try first through, but he fights too under the brush. Wall charge. Here comes the drop as well. Geek Fam, they need to get out. Dark Knight's Fort has committed, but Vincent, he might bleed out, and yes, he will to the Terisla. Nibor flickers out of there, and RSGPH, they're looking to commit a turtle, and they will get it once more. A 2-for-0 exchange, and they're looking for even more as well. Gobbs, he needs to get out. He's completely trapped as well. The spear does not connect to back him up, but RSG says, okay, it's enough. 2 kills, 1 turtle, job's done.
A very efficient play there from RSG Philippines. It did look like they wanted to proceed for more, but I like that they had the discipline to decide, okay, this is not the time to try and push more advantage. We already got more than enough. And we can see the weakness of Geek Fam's lineup here. Because of the fact that they had to go for a Baxia to make up for the lack of tankiness on the Hellcat Roam, a lot of their setup is heavily dependent on Gobbs on this Arlet. And if he not able to get the final slash out, or even worse, if RSG finds the better initiation timing first, there really is no way for Geek Fam to stop them. Once the freeze is used by a boy, the fight just goes completely in RSG's favor.
Yep, now Geek Fam opting to go for a little bit split push here, not looking to commit to fights against RHBH. They're starting to play for their split push strategy. In this case, Beloyski is going to play that role right now. He's farming up a little bit as a roamer, but guess what? He gets dived on. Julian going for the burst, but he survives with 1 HP, sidesteps his way through, dodging it, but it's not going to be enough. The damage has been done, but Geek Fam, they get a 3-man out from our boy to turn the tides. RHBH, they commit to this fight, and now Light is gonna fall. Gobbs gets a triple kill for Geek Fam, and RSGPH was not expecting that at all.
Now that's a big mistake there from RSG, diving a little bit too deep. Feeling a little bit overconfident there because they were already so heavily in the lead, and then all just running into the ultimate of a boy to get frozen. That time that was bought by the Aurora allowed Gobbs to heal back up through the Vengeance spam and actually dish out the necessary damage to pick up a triple kill, immediately shifting the gold over to Geek Fam's side and making this an even game.
Oh boy, RSGPH, they've paid the price and now they have to equalize. They're starting to respect what Geek Fam brings to the table, but as of now, it comes down to this one turtle fight. Sky Piercer up on a boy, but Vincent, he's looking for the steal. He drives away, sidesteps away, takes the turtle, but he's stuck, he's committed. He pops the Tortoise Facade, but where's the backup? No backup from Geek Fam. They'll let it through, they'll get the turtle, they lose his life, but guess what? The side lanes are completely shoved on towards RSGPH's towers. Like Kadera now in a little bit of trouble. He needs to go for a side step. They're committing to fight, but the wall charge misses from line. And Kadera is able to get out. He's getting poked apart, but he will escape his near death. Gobbs buys a little bit more time. RSGPH, do they find a kill? Yes, they do. Gobbs will fall.
Geek Fam is starting to find a little bit more space here. RSG trying to force things, making some mistakes, even trying to push down tier 1 mid.
Oh my goodness, penalty zone to try buy a little bit more time as well. Our boy, he's taking a little bit too much damage. He flickers out to safety, but they somehow defend the middle turret. RSGPH, they are getting very desperate.
I'm worried if they may be getting a bit too desperate here. The gold difference now not going to be very much, only 1k for RSGPH, yet it allows them to feel confident enough. Irad actually able to steal an orange buff away from Vincent as well. But you have to realize that Geek Fam, as long as they're able to time their windows of entrance properly, they do actually do a good amount of damage. Boy, actually even going for Bloodwings into Sky Piercer, because he's realizing that he is the one dishing out most of the control and damage in these fights.
Oh my goodness, topside Kadira connects the spear, they find Kusei, and Geek Fam now looking to punish the separated members of RSGP. Light, he's trying to buy a lot of time, but guess what, Geek Fam, they're just, you know, leaving him to starve as long as they can while they get the maximum value of farm. But by doing so, RSGPH, they find one at the bottom lane as well. Our boy will go down.
They're not in position to be able to go up and provide backup, so instead they look for a kill on a boy in the bot lane. It's something for RSG, but losing Kusi and Light there are actually quite detrimental considering the timing of the Lord spawning. Unfortunately though, because of the way that the macro has been going, we can see that Beloyski, despite not having the best early game, still contributes a good amount with that Dark Knight Falls, turning off the lights and making it difficult for RSG to actually position themselves across the map.
Well, he just got his GDS as well, so that's going to be something that I think RSGPH needs to be a little bit careful where Beloyski may be coming out from a surprise factor. Meanwhile, Lord now 50% waiting for the right moment to strike. Vincent gets scouted out by Light. They pop the wall charge to try and stop him in his drag, but it looks like he's not going to get the Lord, but they are all clumped up. A big catch from our boy, and here he comes the rest of Geek Fam. They're going to try and finish off the low members here. Kusei first to fall. Next is Irad. Beloyski gets a double. Triple for him. Can he get the Maniac? No, he does not. Stolen away by Kadera, but Geek Fam, in the night, they strike. They completely shut down RSGPH.
They found the right angles and they're able to set up these angles because the lights are just turned off. RSG, they can only choose to commit on the Lord here to make sure that Geek Fam doesn't get it for free, but at what cost? They just allow themselves to be pincered, and Kadera and Beloyski being able to come in from multiple angles to catch off the squishier, low health members of RSG. A boy doing a lot of work for his team right now. This Aurora able to set things up in a team composition that really doesn't have that much initiation.
The night is dark and full of terrors. In this case, RSGPH, what do they do? Beloyski out of nowhere just pops off, and now they have to play very, very safely here. And finally, we do see a huge Goldcraft swing in favor of Geek Fam. And this is going to put RSGPH in a very, very awkward spot.
Geek Fam now in control, already getting more towers and structures as well. Personally speaking, RSG Philippines needs to slow things down. They have a composition that is actually not bad at all at peeling, especially with the zone control that Zask and Karizla should be providing them. Yes, it's very hard to fight during that Dark Knight Falls, so you really should not be forcing it. You can just scatter, you can take your time, you can back off. You gotta make sure that you're not having multiple players being hit by a boy, because that is really costing these fights for them.
Well, in this case, they've got the Blood Wings up on Irad to try and sustain throughout all these fights. They are also setting up ambushes for a boy in case... Sorry, they're setting up ambushes for Beloyski in case Beloyski gets a little bit sneaky. But guess what? On the top side, Beloyski saw that. They know, but guess what? It doesn't matter. Even if he knows, Light is going to make sure he gets caught instantly with the wall charge. Bursts him down, shuts him out, and now they have some breathing room.
Pick up on Boloy is actually going to help a lot. Yes, they use a wild charge for it, but without the ability to turn off the lights, it'll be a lot easier for RSG Philippines to actually determine how they want to position for team fights. That's what's been making life difficult for them thus far. But Geek Fam gonna make the wise choice, not gonna try and force anything, actually gonna position a lot more defensively without Beloyski to open up the map for them.
Oh boy, RSGPH just trying to fight for scraps here. Even though they've got Beloyski, they finally get to push out the lanes to set up for this upcoming Lord fight. And that's something that you can see Geek Fam is already preemptively positioned themselves for it. But RSG say they might look to try and get a tier 2 or maybe even a free pickoff, but looks like it's not going to happen.
RSG going to be able to even up the tower score just a little bit here. Oh,
okay.
Missed penalty zone flicker from Nibor.
So they have to reset this as well because that is going to be 100-second side on the cooldowns for those flickered up on Nibor. So the next one is going to be light here, 45 seconds. Can they buy it enough time? Because Geek Fam, they know they have the advantage now, and they're looking to go for a couple of pokes here. Kadera trying to force a couple of angles here. Guess what? Wall charge coming from like completely airballing, and now a big out by Aurora as RSGPH gets completely peeled apart. They lose everyone and get absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Winston is going to try and escape this, and RSG, they just cannot commit to this fight as well. Kusei is being very sneaky. He's going to review himself, but the damage from Kadera hurts so much. He needs to run, and Geek Fam looks like they will secure the Lord unless Beloyski will fall. No, he actually dies to the glowing wand from Aqua.
But his job is already done. That was clinical coming in from Geek Fam, having Beloyski split push the top lane, and the moment someone comes to deal with him, in this case Kusi, a very important target. You see, the moment Geek Fam saw the Roger in the top lane, they initiated. They went for the sprite straight away because they knew they had the numbers advantage there. And RSG Philippines were just not able to deal with it. The Roger would not have made it back in time to contest the Lord, and Geek Fam made sure to zone out their jungle, so they're able to get that for free. Beloyski, he ends up dying, but at this stage of the game, this Hellcut is pure utility. He does not need to survive the fight. He just needs to be there long enough to turn the lights off and be annoying.
Well, speaking of annoyance here, RSGPH, they need to play around the Zaz, but in this case, the amount of damage that Kadera is bringing to the table, seems to be very, very difficult to do so. As you can see, Kadera starting to poke their way through. Even the demonic spawn just... the Nightmarish spawn just couldn't even survive barely a couple of seconds because of the damage coming from Kadera, and this is going to be a problem for them as well. Lord crashing on the tier 3s, and Vincent looking for the push. Final Slash tries to drag Nibor out of position, but they're not committed yet. They're focusing on the Lord defense. Meanwhile, Geek Fam making work on towards the tier 3s. Light just cannot tank Kadera's damage at all. Kadera is just such a hero right now in the front lines for Geek Fam.
We are definitely seeing some really clean execution here though from Geek Fam. I love what they're doing, using the Lord, effectively taking out every inhibitor, not trying to force things out. You can tell that some discipline has been cemented in these players, even if they, as they put it, is a little bit of a newer lineup. And now Kadera is a massive thorn in the side of RSGPH. We know that Moskov is one of the best scaling marksmen in the game, able to 1v5 if the situation is correct for him. And Geek Fam, they're all about setting that up. They have so many ways of making sure that this Moskov will just be able to tear through the ranks of RSG Philippines.
Oh boy, Beloyski. He is going to try and finish things up for Kadera in case there are a couple of stragglers. In this case, RSGPH, they're fighting for scraps once more. They are going to have their orange buff jeopardized, but as of yet, what can they do at this stage? Because it seems like in terms of timings, what are they aiming for?
In terms of timings, RSG Philippines has already hit a point where they have enough items to actually do a significant amount of damage to Geek Fam. They just need to have better positioning. Again, they gotta be more wary about being too forward in the map, because the moment that Dark Knight Falls is activated, they need to scramble, right? Because no matter how good you are in your team positioning, it's gonna be very difficult to do so when you can't see anything.
Okay, they're looking for the conceal, they're looking for the hunt here. Beloyski, they barely have a good spidey senses here, and he does scout things out, so that's gonna be a failed conceal play coming from RSGPH. Meanwhile, Geek Fam, they're looking to try and set up the fights here. Beloyski is shoving the lanes up top. Kadera as well, trying to buy time for Beloyski to make the tempo. Aqua looking to recall back into the base here just because of the lanes, and Geek Fam making quick work on towards the Lord. Half HP. RSG, what you gonna do? Seems like they are in this array. Nibor taking too much damage here, and the spear from Kadera catches on Iran, and he's in trouble here. But no, he bought time with the Winter Crown. He sidesteps away, but he needs to get out. Meanwhile, Kadera will make quick work on the rest of the members of RSG. They poke them all bit by bit, and now they finally fall. They crumble, and the base will fall. They took too long. They could not deal with the amount of pressure that Geek Fam has done to RSGPH. What a game by Geek Fam.
I think this is a very typical Geek Fam victory and exactly what I was hoping to see from them once that Beloyski Hellcat was locked in. Using the chaos of battle to just jump into the backline and take down the base like the little roach he is. The RSG Philippines going to need to invest in a little bit of insecticide because that Hellcat was a problem.
You gotta have to ban. Whenever you have no answer to it, just ban it. I mean, it is a Beloyski special for a reason. And understandably, when it comes down to Geek Fam, yes, Beloyski may not have that great of a time in the early stages of the game, but ultimately, we definitely did manage to see that Geek Fam eventually was able to find their way and their proper understanding into defeating RSGPH. It almost feels as though once we reach the later stages, Beloyski only has one job, and that is to deal with Kusei and make it tough for him to even enter into a team fight. Considering that RSGPH, they're kind of working in a front-to-back kind of lineup, especially since they are working with Aqua that's playing as a Zask. You can't exactly focus target onto whoever you want in the backlines. Whoever's closest, you gotta zap that person. So most likely that first person is going to be the Baxia. But all in all, time and time again, is that the reason why that RSGPH is unable to win in team fights?
I think like you brought up the right angle in terms of the point here for the Zaz pickup here, but I feel like whenever Aka tries to drop anything, when the Dark Knight Falls comes in, what can a Zaz do? Like, what's the strength of a Zaz? Zone denial, area denial because of the range, the amount of damage it brings to the table. Dark Knight Falls comes in, what does it hit? I don't think it hits anything at all.
Within vision, right?
Yeah, because there's no vision because of Dark Knight's Fall.
And it kind of resets the ramp-up damage coming in from the lasers, from the Dominator's descent as well, right?
Yeah, so that does end up messing with it. And on top of that, the thing is, RSGPH is an aggressive team in general. So rather than using the Zask as zone denial, they were trying to use it as zone to claim area by being aggressive during fights. And I feel like RSG tried pushing that a little bit too much. It was working well for them initially, but you have to realize that at a certain point, because they were always grouping up in their front to back, playing as a squad, trying to push into Geek Fam's side of the map, they're not able to reposition fast enough to avoid a boy, especially when they're not able to see, right? When Dark Knight Falls comes out, you see the Frigid Frost just hit everyone, freeze them all, allow for the damage to be done, and for some reason, RSGPH just kept doing it.
I think it comes down to a point on were they tilted or not, because that plan up top where they want to focus on shutting down Beloyski was really on point for RSGPH, but when they got out macroed and out microed for one mistake, that's where you can see RGPH started kind of went into panic chaos mode where desperation kind of kicked in. Like, and as compared to how they were playing before, they were very composed, very disciplined, trigger discipline, everything on point. But after that one mistake where they gave away a triple kill, everything went to hell for RGPH.
It's great that you mentioned that, right? Despite the fact that we have definitely saw how a boy is such a fundamental and such a pivotal player, Caldera is still the one that manages to clinch that MVP status because of what the entire team is able to bring in for Caldera, right? Eventually being able to ramp up in massive amount of gold, whereby he's already online with 11.5 thousand gold at